You are listening to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, as always, joined by James and Callum. How you going, boys?
Not bad.
Very good.
Callum's almost dead.
Town's almost dead. He wasn't here last week. He dragged his corpse to the studio this week.
Yeah.
But we're all back.
It is Spooktober. It's
hoping
in season for the zombies to drag in their corpses.
Look, I'm hoping in the next 3, 4, 5 weeks, maybe we might even get an Elm appearance, if we're lucky.
We'll see. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. So.
Yeah. Anyway, the boys are back in the studio this week, all of us. But we're just going to take it easy. We've got a review roundtable this week.
Yes.
So just a calm before the next storm, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
As far as content for the show goes.
There's
so much.
We went from
listeners don't know.
We went from 0
to 100
to a million
pretty quickly,
and we weren't prepared.
No.
So all the stuff Nathan and I talked about last week about packs and all the cool YouTube videos.
It's coming. It's
but
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Look, a reminder to listeners, we don't get paid. We'll have jobs.
Yeah.
And we're biting off more than we can chew for someone who do this as a hobby in our spare time.
Once we get in the groove of it, hopefully it'll become easier.
But work is always ongoing, as we've said.
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of other crazy stuff going on. So, it is coming. We did talk about last week about... interviewing, catching up and following up with a lot of the devs. That's still in the plans.
Yeah,
but again,
a few of those will be later on, maybe even next year, because we want to get back to them closer to when they have something to actually share with the world. We
thought they'd be in the next couple of weeks, but it might be in the next month to the next few months. Yeah. So,
but we'll keep everyone aware of what's going on.
Yeah. We're being more active on social media. We're very much to my chagrin. We're back on Twitter.
Well, look, we are. And it was something we wrestled with while we're doing some sort of housekeeping. We wrestled with X/Twitter. Because...
I still don't want it, but I understand why we need it. And
it's a case of need, not want. We want to grow the show.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm also not a big fan of the Elmo.
Elmo Musk.
I'm not a big fan of Elon. But... Again, Twitter's where everyone is. Or a lot of people that we we connected with at PAX. They operate with Twitter, and it's kind of there's a lot of synergy if we do use Twitter, and it helps us in some way. So we are back on Twitter at Tuesday Review AU.
Yes, unfortunately, but hopefully, it'll help us to grow and.
So if you've noticed, we have been more active on all the socials. Yeah. Please hit us up on the socials. We want to hear from you as well.
Yeah.
But we'll get into what we've been watching recently. So,
Callum's dead. I went on. I was going to say you weren't here yesterday. Do you want to talk a little bit about your PAX experience?
Oh yeah, tell us about PAX, Callum.
Because we were talking last week how you said it was the best one you've ever been to, probably.
Yeah. So I've been to PAX most of them, at least partially most of them. And I feel like I had the best PAX because I was engaged the most. I was busy. There were things that I had to do. So the days went really quick, whereas sometimes at PAX I find the days can really drag because you're often waiting in lines for long periods of time or wandering around aimlessly.
That's something we referenced. We talked about that a little bit last week, I think, was because we were there as media. We actually had appointments. We had stuff to do. So it felt a lot more
that's part
structured.
of it as well, but also... I think after talking to you guys, it just felt like there was just more stuff to do this year, even if you weren't.
No, 100%. It was so much better this year than it was the previous year.
Not only was it interesting because I was engaged the entire time, whether it was talking to people, filming things, actually paying attention, not just being on autopilot, as you do at these conventions sometimes. You're on autopilot, you just look at things and whatever. But also just things like, thinking about our next moves, playing games, looking at people playing games... looking at all the cool cosplay. There was also last year's PAX was pretty dreadful.
That was the post-COVID recovery PAX, and I understand why it might have been a struggle, but it wasn't a good time. But this was so much better.
This PAX had some high quality content going on for it, and Nintendo was back this year. Sega was here this year. We were lacking PlayStation and Xbox, but that's fine. We had everything was. It just felt like it was back. and it felt like bigger and better than it has been in years.
It wasn't like last year's PAX where it was like 3/4 of the hall was just electronics vendors trying to sell you overpriced computers.
There was an energy to it this year that I felt as soon as I got there. It was optimistic, and that didn't leave. Like the whole time I was there, it just felt like it was an energetic, positive.
I think we had the same energy. I mean, we were all tired, but we had the same energy on Sunday as we did on the Friday.
Yeah, like that's right.
And we didn't get to Sunday and go, oh, we've seen everything.
Normally I don't want to go. I have to come kicking and screaming on the Sunday. But it's like, no, we were there like...
I mean, it helps
like unless we had other commitments like we did on the Saturday. Yeah. We were there busy doing stuff, and I was like, no, we have to be here. We got stuff to do.
I think it also helps that like the people you're with are optimistic and happy to be there too. Yeah. Like, and for instance, friend of the show or part of the show now, Jake, one of our producers.
He's our editor, I guess.
Yeah. Editor of the show, Jake. He
editor of the YouTube.
You know, he wasn't well last PAX, and he came and he had a terrible time, and that was that brings it down a little bit for the rest of us, right? Because you want everyone to be there. But Jake's doing a lot better now this year, anyway, for this year's PAX, and he had a great time. And so that positivity, it rubs off on the rest of the gang.
Yeah, it was a really good atmosphere.
Yeah, and like if everyone's having a good time, it makes it even better.
I will say I enjoyed the tabletop area more than I did the other video games, but that's not to say that the other the video game sections weren't interesting.
Oh, we did talk about that last week as well. There was more competition to see the video games than there were tabletop. That was a part of it for us because we wanted to get footage, right? You go where the opportunities are.
But also,
that wasn't a bad thing. We still had a great time.
I think the tabletop was what I was more interested in.
Yeah, me too.
So it worked out.
Normally, with the people we go to PAX with, normally they're more interested in the video games, and I'm just naturally more interested in the board game side of things. And I was really happy to see so many interesting card games, interesting board games. Yeah. Talk to creators of the content. It made me happy to see that there's such creativity alive in at least in the Victorian / Australian tabletop scene. It was awesome. I had a great time.
Yeah. So
for more information on our PAX thoughts, listen to the previous episode.
Yeah, and also keep an eye on our social media because
there's a new daily thing.
I know I keep saying it, but there is stuff. We have lots of stuff and lots of cool people that we spoke to and are going to speak to. So
we just can't tell you when right now.
Yeah, we're really tired and there's a lot going on.
All right, look, I guess I'll start with the round table. So, as far as movies we've been watching, I watched Totally Killer.
Oh, yes, I watched that last night.
What did you think? Without spoilers, because I think Callum would enjoy it.
It was okay.
On par for a Blumhouse, kind of?
I don't know, how do I put this? You talk about it first, and then I'll...
I liked it.
Okay.
So, not all the humor landed for me.
Yeah, no.
But I liked some of the slasher stuff was good. I liked some of the kills. I liked some of the slasher. And I liked the whole 80s vibe. I liked the retro kind of element of it. Like that was it was fun. It was kind of fun.
Yeah. It's like it's a light kind of. I mean, there's violence, but it's kind of a light
slasher, campy kind of slasher. It's a bit fun.
It's about like the
killer reveal was a cop-out. I think they kind of just tucked that in last minute.
But just like, because if you don't know, like it's about a teenage girl who's like goes back in time to the 80s when her...
another one.
When there was a serial killer tormenting her parents.
High school girls and then she has to save her mother, who's 16, the same age as her, when she goes back in time, and it's like a Back to the Future kind of thing.
So Back to the Future meets like a serial killer.
Scream kind of, or whatever.
Scream. But look, I liked it. I thought it was fun.
So
again, I didn't pay to see it. It's really
it's on Amazon. It's a Prime.
It's a Prime Video movie.
Yeah.
So
I think that was kind of my problem. Is it's like I saw the trailer. I'm like, oh, that looks like fun. I might watch that. And it's Spooktober. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a go. And I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. I liked all the cast members. My favorite running joke was the fact that like she can just convince people because people don't second guess anything. And she's like, wow, the 80s are wild. She's
plot charisma.
No, it's like part of the joke, like it's a running joke in the movie. It's like she'll go up to someone and say, oh, I need to know where this girl, what class she's in. I know it's confidential information.
People cared less
and
back
then,
in that.
Yeah, and then the school and the lady in the school office would just give her the information.
Yeah, I think it's not that she was able to convince anyone to do anything. It's people
in the
didn't
80s,
care.
no one cared. And that's the thing. She's like, wow, people would just...
Yeah.
This is why so many people got murdered.
Yeah. And then she has to get a ride to school, and a lady's like, I'll take you, it's fine.
Yeah.
She's like, I might die in this
it's
car.
like, you're a stranger. It's just like, what are you talking about? It's like, and she's just smoking in the car.
Yeah.
So, like, there were those jokes. Then there were other jokes that most of them didn't land. I think it wasn't funny enough or scary enough. It needed to be...
It needs one or the other.
One or the other, or it needed to be both.
It's a visit problem. It's like, pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also it has some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in a film. I know it's a streaming movie, but it was...
Wait, point a moment out so I can remember.
Flash plug-in, like...
What? Point
awful.
a moment out so I can remember.
The nail... When she shoots the guy with the nail gun, the nails are like...
I'm gonna have to
JPEGs hovering.
I didn't notice.
There's like just the general time machine animation is garbage.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch something because I didn't notice when I was watching it.
If you didn't notice, I'm surprised because it is
I'm gonna have to,
bad.
I'm gonna go back tonight and
Also,
rewatch some of these moments. Just
all the kills, all the blood is all CGI garbage, and it looks awful.
Yeah, the blood I noticed,
and not just like the stab wounds, are clearly just like JPEGs that they've. It's just like. And I feel bad because I'm like, I feel like I've just some practical effects, a bit more because it care with the cinematography, and you've got a much better movie automatically. But the way they make these streaming movies now, and we're big fans of like streaming movies. We've defended Netflix a lot when people were saying,
I mean, back in the day.
Back in the day, yeah.
Those episodes need a disclaimer.
Yeah.
These what is the Disney disclaimer?
The product of their time or whatever. Don't express the modern views. But like we like, I don't like being the guy who's like, oh, they're streaming movies. They're not real. They don't count. But now we've got to that point that we've talked about a lot on the show before. They're not movies anymore. They're content. They're not shows. They're content. It's not art. It's just churn it out. And that's not to say the people making the movie weren't trying to do the best that they could. I'm a fan of the director, Nahnatchka Khan. She was like executive producer. She was the showrunner for American Dad for a long time. She did
look, it's time and
Fresh
money
Off the Boat. She's done all this cool stuff, and like she made this movie, and I'm like, I'm sure she did, I just feel like it Amazon
all comes down
was
to
like,
time and money.
we need a horror movie, we need it out by October, let's go. And they just churned it out, shot it quickly. It doesn't look particularly good. The script needs a whole bunch of tightening. They need to really work on, visual effects. And it's just like...
But there's a core in there that could be a really good movie.
It could have been really good, But, look, I didn't hate it or anything. Yeah. But I think
it's not overly long. It's
like an hour and 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we've talked about before, we're at a point now where all the streaming stuff is just content they're just churning out. There's too much of it, and a lot of it's not good. And, there was a point where we were like, we don't need to go to the cinema. The movies is dead. Like, we'll just stay home and watch it. We'll wait till it comes on streaming. But films that actually come to the cinema... The studios are still putting more time and money into those because those are the ones they want people to go out for. Whereas the streaming stuff, they're not. Yeah. Even though there's a lot of good straight to streaming movies, it's still
just a dumping ground.
It's just straight to video versus the theatrical release, but in a weird sort of 21st century streaming digital age. Yeah. And so. Yeah, I mean, it's an inoffensive movie that, like, I think a lot of people like. Look, horror. If you don't like horror movies, you can still sort of enjoy it. But
I am known to enjoy bad movies.
You have questionable taste.
Yeah. I have questionable taste. Name of the episode, maybe.
Yeah, I have questionable taste.
I have questionable taste. That's fine. I'll own up to that. And I enjoyed this movie. Yeah. I will have to go back and rewatch something for the CGI because I'm sure you're right.
I don't want to spoil too much. So after we go off, I'll tell you the specific moments. But I think the fact that you didn't notice points to a thing we talk about a lot on the show is if you watch it in the movie and enjoying it, you don't really care. Yeah. But me, I'm allergic to CGI. Even when it's good CGI, I'm like, oh, that looks like CGI. But it was bad.
Yeah, okay. The other experimental short film that's notable for me for talking about, I guess we'll class it in the movies, right?
Yeah, it counts as a movie.
Is called The Big Shave, a movie that I did not know was made by Martin Scorsese until it finished in 1967.
So that's because I've seen it before, and then you said, "Oh, I watched Big Shave." I assumed you watched it because it was a Martin Scorsese, but you just came across it.
We have an HBO Max account, and it was in the Turner Classic Movies kind of horror showcase. Listed with like body horror and like,
which is a weird place to put it, but yeah,
I guess it's horror in a way, right?
Yeah,
it's not an entertaining short film.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
and also it's not light entertainment,
not conventional.
It's not feel good, is it?
No, it's not feel good. Yeah, it was something like I was really impressed from like in 1967.
Scorsese, man,
it's Scorsese. He's a masterpiece. Like, you know, like I expect listeners would expect another Martin Scorsese masterpiece for us to be talking about.
Oh well,
this is not. We don't have that tonight. James has
I do, but you guys haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen that one yet. But we're talking about The Big Shave, an allegory for Vietnam as well. The alternate title was Vietnam or Viet 67, something similar to that. I really enjoyed The Big Shave. It kind of made me uncomfortable.
I recommend. Yeah, it is quite.
It's quite graphic for its time, and only rated PG.
Because the 60s, man.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying.
I recommend. I assume. I hope that on HBO Max they have his other shorts.
I would imagine they got one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if you can, I'd recommend watching his other ones because they're real good.
Yeah. Like again, 1967. Like there's only 4 people in the production of this short.
Yeah.
So it's the young man played by Peter Benuth. The camera work is by Aries Demertzes. Blood by Bill Bleich. And Bathroom by Kevin Gorlin, I guess the set dresser or something. Yeah. And directed by Martin Scorsese. So 5 people in total. Music by Bunny Berrigan.
Yeah, just a little short.
Just a little short film.
It's a short film about a guy shaving in a bathroom mirror. That's all. That's all
we'll say. Yeah. Watch it if you can.
If you can stomach.
Don't watch it with the kids.
Yeah, if you can stomach lots of blood.
Look, it's not. Yeah, that's a lot of blood.
Yeah,
but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Scorsese's the GOAT, man.
He is the GOAT. Yeah, so that's all for movies that I've got for tonight. Callum, what have you got?
James, I was just going to say, because it was talking about Scorsese, should I segue into... I can talk about it later. Callum can go.
So I want to just a quick
before Callum falls asleep.
Just a quick divert before I get
then
into...
Then you can go to Netty Buys.
Before I get into my movies. Just a quick divert for any cousins out there who might have been listening for a while. There is a Deathstalker comic book adaptation that you should look into and kickstart if possible.
Have to... Yeah, okay, so...
I don't know.
We have to do a whole episode on this.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, put a pin in it. After the show, we'll talk about doing a full episode. Yeah.
Only because it's like, look it up, support this great project if you can.
We'll throw it out on the socials maybe.
Yeah, it's already been funded, but it's a good chance to contribute to such a wonderful franchise.
All right, we have to do it. Okay, yeah.
Anyway, I funded
you out for that.
I got the 4th tier funding, so I got the hardback plus a little surprise.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that one too.
Anyway,
when I get paid.
To my movie choices. The first thing I want to talk about is I watched the Terrifier Trilogy, which is All Hallows Eve collection of short stories. With the clown as the central.
It's the movie that takes the violence and gore a little too far.
Hang on. So Callum and I were talking about this a couple of weeks ago off air, and I want to bring this information to listeners. So obviously, a lot of people know about Terrifier, and Terrifier 2 is like those super gory, super insane, like violent killer clown movies. And then Callum was like, "Oh, watch the trilogy." I said, "There's only 2." He said, "No. Actually, it starts with a short film."
That's right. Yeah. So he originally I don't know if I should have brought this up on my phone first. The director.
That's right.
So it starts as like
it was originally the director made 3 short films. And then they ended up... I can't remember if he made the 1 short film and then decided to turn it into a movie by making 2 other short films and combining them, or if it was 3 short films he just stitched together to make a feature. I can't remember. But the first movie is called All Hallows Eve, which is 3 short stories in which
Damien Leone.
Yeah, in which the clown is either a character himself or he's an Easter egg in the horror short film. And then he made the 2 movies that everyone knows, Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2, which the clown is like the central villain.
I remember Terrifier 1 came out and there was a bit of a buzz around it, but it wasn't a huge thing. It was like this super low budget, super gory horror
It blew
movie.
up with Terrifier 2.
But then Terrifier 2, people were like, this is insane. Yeah. And like everyone was talking about, and I think we talked about one episode where, people were talking about, people are fainting and walking out.
My feelings with Terrifier are complicated because I appreciate the practical effects.
Well, see, that's what I want to get into.
You go on.
So I watched the trilogy pretty much back to back. Because I'm like, it's not a nice piece of work, so I'm just going to strap myself in and go for the ride. And I actually
now I'm on medication.
Yeah.
So All Hallows Eve.
Can't sleep, clown will eat me.
Yeah.
Can't sleep, clown will eat me.
Also possible name of the episode. We'll find out.
So All Hallows Eve is the most interesting work because I think it's the least extreme of them.
Which one?
All Hallows Eve. So
that's like the short film. Yeah.
So it's still gruesome. It's not My Little Pony or whatever. But it's like, since it's 3 short stories, it keeps your attention longer because it's more, it's separate. It's separated into blocks. It also has an interesting take on Art the Clown, where it makes him more of a demonic entity that manifests itself as a clown, which is something they don't really get into in the Terrifier franchise, if you want to call it that.
He's like not explained in the movies. He just shows up, or
yeah, basically. So in All Hallows Eve, light spoilers for All Hallows Eve. Not that the story really matters.
Yeah, maybe don't go into it because it's like not a big popular.
Well, the interesting thing is it kind of got softly retconned for Terrifier. So like the information I divulged for All Hallows Eve, I don't think that's even canon.
It's probably not canon. Yeah.
So the first short story revolves around a woman, I think, a woman who gets abducted at a train station, I believe. And she, long story short, it's like midnight meat train style. There's like a civilization under there or whatever.
Oh, cool.
Cultists and such. And they sacrifice people to a demon of some sort. And the insinuation is that the demon is Art the Clown.
Okay.
Or he serves the demon or whatever. And I thought that was a really interesting take. I love underground cults, especially train station cults. That type of, that
Subway,
underground secret society / demon stuff is interesting. The second short story, I think, is the one about the home invasion. I can't remember.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
But there's a really interesting home invasion about an alien who comes to kidnap a woman and or her family or whatever. And it has this really interesting vibe where the alien walks like he's underwater. Oh, he's like cool. A scuba outfit, but it's like he's on land. So he needs the scuba outfit to survive on the land. And it's really intense. So All Hallows Eve, intense. That's like a good word to describe it. It's intense without being overly gory. Whereas Terrifier, kind of, they up the production value. They give him more money. So Terrifier is like a way for him to express his skills as a practical artist. So it's like there's like no CG in Terrifier. No. It's all practical effects.
Yeah.
And, like I'm talking stuff like, a woman will get sawed in half with a hacksaw.
Yeah.
Like the
skin getting peeled off.
Yeah, just incredibly gruesome, impactful, gory stuff, which in my opinion is that's the entire point of the Terrifier franchise.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary to go as far as he does, but that's the point in and of itself. Is he's not shy about it. He's like, this is what I do. I'm taking it to extreme levels. That's what Terrifier is about. So if you want to see Terrifier, you're going to see some really messed up stuff. I do think his direction's nice. His cinematography's good. I just don't agree with the meanness that comes across.
I remember, I haven't seen either movie. I remember when Terrifier 2 came out and everyone was talking about it. And I heard it was 2.5 hours long, and it was literally from start to finish just the clown mutilating people, torturing people. And I'm like, I like gore, I like horror movies, but
I sent you that picture. You remember?
Yeah. And I knew that my sister had watched it, and she had told me about that scene. So when Callum showed me the picture, I knew exactly what it was.
My one problem, and so there was some discourse about this film when it was when Terrifier 2 came out. about the misogyny in the franchise, and he denies it, and he says that
that's a horror movie trope.
Yeah, but I do think that Terrifier takes it too far, because the males that do die, they don't really die in like that mean, like in too mean of ways, but all of the women who die the most gruesome, awful deaths imaginable. So I don't know whether it's an unconscious thing or if it's by accident or whatever, but I do think there's a misogyny issue with the franchise.
I wouldn't necessarily call it misogyny.
No, like, dude,
there's an element of like...
No, I understand it's a horror movie thing. Like, I do get that. But it's taken to such extreme levels, and it's mainly directed at women entirely. And you know me, I'm not like some woke guy complaining about this, that, and everything else. But it is noticeable. That's all I'm saying. Like, the fact that it's like a guy will just die a pretty simple death, but with the women, we're going to play with the intestines and stuff like that. I'm like, come on, man. Like, no, like... Yeah. It is what it is. I'm not saying he's a misogynist. I'm just saying that it kind of comes across a little in the way he depicts the deaths. There's a disparity there that's, like I said, noticeable. I'm not saying it's a bad movie.
It might have been not really intentional by the director, but more just like him playing into horror movie tradition and tropes, and not really.
But without the self-awareness.
He didn't realize it's like, oh, I'm only targeting, the women. And
I think, I agree with Callum. This movie, like, again, I enjoy the production side of this. Like, what they can do with the visual effects is really nice.
It's incredible, yeah.
But the movies are just mean.
Yeah.
And I didn't enjoy watching it.
No.
It's mean.
Like, there's nothing redeemable about the movie.
No, that's exactly, like, it shows you what can be done with practical effects, right? Like, you watch it and you're like, wow, that looks incredible. But it leaves a bad taste. It did leave a bad taste in my mouth.
It's not even... The movie doesn't even pretend to have, like, a message it's trying to tell you.
Yeah, no, it's purely
like
just
I said, the message is, let's see how messed up we can get.
Yeah.
And so, that was the horror. It is October. I've got to talk about something horror related.
Yeah.
The other one, which is a complete 180, I want to talk about A Rainy Day in New York by the much maligned Woody Allen.
Oh, yeah.
And we could spend hours talking about Woody Allen, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about his movie.
Talk about
instead.
the movie, yeah.
Featuring Timothy Chalamet.
Chalamet or
Chalamet. Featuring Paul from Dune. What's her name? Oh no, I'm blanking.
I'll look it up.
The famous pop star.
Famous? That doesn't narrow
Selena
it down.
Gomez.
Selena
Gomez, that's the one.
It's Timothy Chalamet, Elle Fanning, I should say, Selena Gomez, Jude Law, Liev Schreiber, Rebecca Hall, Diego Luna.
Yeah, it's a stacked cast.
As most of
Woody Allen.
So it's funny, right, to read some comments. After I watched this movie, I read some comments online about it. And a lot of people were saying, "Oh, I don't like it. It feels old-timey." And these are like people, I guess, who don't really like Woody Allen's early work.
People that watch the Marvel movies don't like it.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was going to get to. I'm like, it's funny. I watched this movie and I thought it was awesome. I loved it. Like, it is an older style of Woody Allen movie, right? It's not a Midnight in Paris.
Woody Allen has one
or two.
One mode.
Yeah.
No,
unless he does thriller.
He also does hard dramas.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
He has like three. He has three. He has three vibes.
His last few movies have been all the same sort of.
Well, he proved what he needed to prove. You know what I mean?
Also, Shadows and Fog is a weird one.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, they're all
like, it's not his usual oeuvre.
No. Anyway, so Rainy Day in New York is this Timothy
Chalamet.
He's the Woody Allen stand-in, because this, there's those movies where they'll have a character who speaks like Woody Allen.
Yeah, Woody Allen's too old to play like.
So he got someone else to play him. Yeah.
Owen Wilson was in Midnight in Paris, and Jesse Eisenberg was in one.
Cafe Society.
No, Cafe Society was what's his face?
Yeah.
Anyway,
or is it Wonder Wheel?
Wonder Wheel.
Yeah.
Anyway, he plays a university student whose girlfriend.
Anyway, I can't remember.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. He plays a university student whose girlfriend gets sent on a media project to go to New York to interview Liev Schreiber, who's a famous director, and Chalamet's character comes from New York, and he's from an influential family, and he doesn't want to return. He doesn't want them to know he's back, because that means he has to talk to his parents, who he doesn't like. The typical Woody Allen dynamic with the family. And it ends up being this kind of romantic comedy adventure. I mean social adventure. Where he returns, meets some people he knows, finds a new love interest, blah, 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 blah. And I found it to be heartwarming, funny, old school kind of movie that Woody Allen used to make, where it's like it just leaves you feeling good. It's like nostalgia soaked, funny, warm, smoking in a cafe, drinking whiskey, listening to music, and raining outside kind of movie. And he excels at that vibe. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to that New York autumn, rainy sidewalks vibe, he's still got it. I thought it was funny, and like there were some jokes that I don't think, like, unless you know who Grace Kelly is, for example, like if you're one of these people who doesn't really know a lot about movies, especially older films, some of those jokes aren't going to hit.
Yeah, I mean, this wouldn't be the movie for you.
But yeah, it's just there's some good physical comedy. It's also just interesting characters, you know, like even the B parts, like Jude Law's character's not in it for very long. Neither is Liv Schreiber's. They're not major characters, but they're still interesting characters. They're still, you know, you don't see those, like, you know, eccentric directors and their handlers.
Woody Allen's always been good just writing dialogue and people.
Yeah, exactly. He's still got the snappy dialogue.
Yeah.
I was engaged in the Chalamet and Selena Gomez story arc. I thought that was fun. The characters grow. You know what I mean? It's just like such a feel-good movie. And I was like, I watched that after Terrifier, and I was like, yes.
A good palate cleanser.
Yeah, that's it. A complete refresh.
I like this better. No one's getting sawed in half.
Yeah, that's it. It's just uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for different reasons.
It's just, there's a lot of neurosis.
Yeah, neurosis.
Yeah, a lot of neurosis, but no gore.
It's funny. I watched it, and it reminded me of...
New York neurosis.
Yeah.
That's got to be something.
That's a genre.
Yeah, that's a Woody Allen genre, or a book about Woody Allen, or a punk band.
Yeah,
a Woody Allen themed punk band.
That'd be interesting.
I'm trademarked that. Copyright
Woody Allen
Tuesday
themed punk
Review.
band. All the lyrics for the songs are just about his films.
Yeah,
and we all dress up as Woody Allen.
Oh no!
Oh no! They're all like
we just wear his glasses.
All dressed like Annie Hall, like. Mia Farrow with the big sunglasses.
Say what you want about Woody Allen, I do think he knows how to write female dialogue. He knows how to handle female characters, and it's like I got to the end of the film. I'm not going to spoil the story reveal at the end, but I was like, it's such an interesting take, like to challenge Chalamet's worldview in the way that Woody Allen does at the end. It seems cheap now, but I was thinking about it after the movie, and I'm like, Woody Allen's been treating female characters a lot more kindly than most directors for years.
I think I've read somewhere that he always runs his female, like he's kind of like female-centric dialogue and kind of character behaviors. He has like a writing partner for that specific. He's like, is this real? No,
I don't know.
Maybe it's a different director.
Yeah, it might be someone else.
Maybe I'm thinking something.
But I was just thinking about his back catalogue, you know, all the movies he's done and all the movies I've seen in the last 6 months and I've seen quite a lot of them. Like he does female characters so well. But yeah, I just wanted to end on that note, which I thought was, you know, it made me feel. I watched it and I was like, nice, good job, Woody.
Still got it.
Yeah, no,
How old is he?
legit.
How old is he? Is he 90 yet?
Well, this movie came out. When did this movie came out? Not that long ago. Yeah, not that long ago, and he's still. I still thought.
Well, he's got a movie coming out later this year.
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. That's all I'm.
Look, before we move on to James, we might go to a very quick break, and we'll be back right after this. You are back on the Tuesday review. Did you have any more movies for us tonight, Callum?
Oh man, I got heaps.
We could go all night.
We could go all night. Well, you know what?
Callum's falling asleep and I'm hungry.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on to James then for a little bit, and if we got time later, we can come back to Callum. All right, James, what do you got for us? What have you been watching lately?
All right, so it is Spooktober, so I've been trying to watch, as many horror movies as I can, but I've been super busy and there's all sorts of stuff going on. So I haven't watched as much as I would like, and not as much as I did last Spooktober. But next week
goes the same for all of us.
Yeah, next week we'll talk more about that, because I've been watching all the Scream movies and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. So maybe we'll leave that for next week. One thing that's been bugging me is a few weeks ago we talked about Wes Anderson had all those Roald Dahl
you missed
films,
one.
Yeah, on
you
Netflix.
Missed one or two.
One, yeah. So we were talking about how he's got that Henry Sugar film coming out on Netflix, awesome. And then I was watching Henry Sugar, and then it led me to two other short films, and I was like telling you guys about it. I'm like, this is awesome. And then Nathan went home to watch them and was like, so there's 4 short films. I said, no, there's only 3. He said, no, there's 4. So then I went on, and there's actually a 4th one which wasn't up when I was watching, because what they did, which I didn't know because they didn't advertise this, they released it one after the other, like one a day. So it was like Henry Sugar, then it was like the Ratcatcher, and then Poison was the last one. And there was that one in the middle about the bird, the swan. Yeah, it was like the Swan, then the Ratcatcher, then the Poison. Poison wasn't out when I had watched them all.
I don't know why they would have done it that way. I thought they would have got a bigger buzz if they'd released them all together as like a Wes Anderson feature.
Either do it a feature anthology, or if you are going to do it, either dump them all at once or advertise it as we're doing one a day.
Yeah, like an event.
The only trailer I saw was for Henry Sugar.
Yeah. It was a very confusing rollout, which at the moment is probably pretty on brand for Netflix, let's be honest.
Well, I mean, shout out to them for
doing it.
Yeah. But yeah, it was bugging me because we talked about it and I was like, oh, the short films are awesome. Check them out. And then I missed one. So I went back and I watched that and it was awesome. They were all really good. It's one of those situations where every time I watch it, I think this is my favorite one, and then I'll watch the next one. I go, I think this is my favorite one, and then I'll watch the next one. I go, I think this one my favorite. So I mean,
but they should have been a feature.
Yeah,
in my opinion, they should have been one package.
Yeah,
and they could have marketed it a lot better and saying, "Look, we got Wes Anderson's new movie, new anthology film," and it could have been. They could have made it a lot bigger. You know what I mean? More.
I mean, there must be a reason why they did it.
Or maybe Wes Anderson wanted it that way and they just said yes.
Maybe, I don't know. I did read somewhere or heard somewhere that Netflix has got like the rights to all or most of the Roald Dahl catalogs. So that's why they did that. That's why they did that Matilda musical last year or whenever it was. And that's why Wes Anderson, they did that. So I assume there's going to be more Roald Dahl stuff coming. I assume a lot of it's going to be crap.
Probably.
Another Charlie and the there's that Willy Wonka movie coming out, and
please no.
If Netflix has the TV rights, then they're going to do like a prequel,
no. Speaking of Timothée Chalamet, stop it.
Yeah, please stop. So another BFG reboot, I'm sure. So there'll be a lot of garbage coming out, but hopefully we'll get some gems like the Wes Anderson stuff. So I did watch Killers of the Flower Moon. I won't go too much into it because the boys haven't seen it yet, so we might talk about this in a few weeks. But yeah, Scorsese's still got it.
3.5 hours long.
3.5 hours.
Does it feel the 3 hours?
I heard the pacing's awesome.
The pacing is great.
Okay, so it doesn't feel...
I was not tired. Bored, I was not. I mean, I love long movies, so this is already...
But with long movies, the pacing has to be right, otherwise you're bored.
What has better pacing, this or Oppenheimer?
I'd say they're similar, except Oppenheimer is more of that Nolan-y, like, montagey, whereas Killers of the Flower Moon is more traditional, linear. It moves along. I've talked about before, I love long movies. I think even Killers of the Flower Moon could have been a bit longer.
Well, apparently they had at least 5 hours of...
give me that version.
Yeah, no, because there was a guy who worked as a set something or other. Yeah. And he said that they filmed way more for certain scenes.
They always do.
I know, but he said that like there were actual, there's actual scenes made and stuff. Yeah, so.
There's always like a 4-hour cut of movies out there.
Give me the Scorsese cut. Yeah. I'm not sure he has final cut, but you know what I mean.
But those are never intended to be released. But I'm like, screw it, just give me the whole thing.
I do appreciate, we're on top of this movie, I do appreciate the fact that Apple gave it a wide theatrical release instead of just dumping it on. That probably had a large part to do with Marty.
That's
being
what I
like, come on, guys.
Remember, he couldn't get The Irishman made until he went to Netflix, and then Netflix just put it on the
there was disrespectful.
And then he went to Apple to make Killers of the Flower Moon, and I assumed it was just going straight to
we were all very surprised when it was like, it's coming to our local cinema, our local hoods.
So they're giving it a proper Martin Scorsese
actual release,
film, what it deserves, an actual wide release, but it's also an Apple...
Apparently it's part of their larger strategy now. They're big films. It's not just this movie. Yeah. I read on the internet.
There's a few coming out, I think.
I read on the...
that have come out?
Yeah, I read on the internet Apple's rolling out a new strategy where for its bigger films, it's actually going to push an actual wide release.
Well, Amazon does that with some of their bigger films.
But it's good because otherwise these movies are just going to die on streaming without being seen where they should be in a theater.
Yeah.
And, movies like this, Apple, it's... I haven't got the way to word it, but all the movies we see at the cinemas through our normal production houses are just basically superhero movies, comic book movies. In our area, we've got Indian
Horror
films,
movies.
which is amazing.
Yeah, we've talked about
But,
mainstream.
but the mainstream movies aren't where it's at anymore. If Apple's going to give, some of these other potentially weirder in the future, hopefully, movies a chance with a wider release, that's amazing for me.
I think there's still going to be a... What's the word I'm looking for? Depending on the movie,
of course.
There's going to be like, whether it's
straight
a
to
limited
streaming
release, especially in Australia. Keep in mind,
we'll just
we're
get
a very
the big movies,
different... Like, Scorsese, 3 hour, Leonardo DiCaprio, of course, give it a wide release. But some of the other movies that they release, might go to the Nova and we'll have to, go out of our way to see it. I did actually see Killers of the Flower Moon at the Nova, but I didn't have to. It was just because I was in the city. But yeah, great movie. Scorsese is the GOAT. I think it's better than The Irishman, but
not as good as
Silence. In terms of his new, last 10 years of filmography. But yeah, it's a really good movie, and it's about a really interesting and awful time in history, which, we're not really taught about. I mean, it's American history, it's not Australia, but it ties into Indigenous Australia as well. And
some big profile movie critics said it sucks because it's woke now. He's finally gone woke, James.
Scorsese's too political now.
We were talking about The Big Shave before. He was woke in 1967.
I said, have you not seen... And someone actually tweeted at him, like, have you not seen
his works before?
Scorsese? Yeah. People are just dumb, or it's all clickbait bullshit.
Yeah.
Twitter is awful. People are stupid.
I was going to say, don't say get off Twitter. We're on Twitter. Well, stay on Twitter.
Get off Twitter.
Just follow us. Don't follow anyone else.
Exactly, yeah. Actually, everyone get off Twitter and get on... I mean, Threads is no better, but it's slightly...
Don't get off Twitter.
Let's nuts.
Delete everyone else off your Twitter. Just follow
and
your
then
boys.
Follow who we follow, so...
We'll give a positive feedback
exactly.
loop. We can detoxify Twitter from the ground up. Just follow us and who we follow, and you'll have a good time.
Tuesday review. We're going to revolutionize social
positive
media.
people.
Anyway, Killers of the Flower Moon, really good movie. Check it out. I also a few weeks ago watched The Creator, that robot movie where the robot war against the future war against robots and humans.
Okay, for me this was a wait for streaming.
Yeah. So for me it was a wait for streaming movie, but
is this your dad wanted to go?
Yeah. So. The trailer came out, and I'm like, visually, looks kind of cool, but I knew the story was going to be garbage.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll wait for streaming. You guys weren't that interested. I'm like, I'm not going to see it. My dad really wanted to see it. I'm like, all right, I don't really have time to
For
go,
listeners that don't know, his dad's a very big sci-fi man.
No, he's a very big robot man.
A robot
man. He loves robots. He likes sci-fi, but anything with robots...
He's there.
Even if it's god-awful... He's like, I don't care, it's got robots. So anyway, he went to see it. I had work, I didn't have time to go with him. He comes back, he's like, I loved it, you have to see it. I'm going to go see it again. Now, my dad doesn't go to see a lot of movies, and when he does, he doesn't go to see them twice. So for him to say that, I was like, okay, maybe I'll go if I have time. Then another friend of mine sees it and says, I think it's okay, I think you should go see it. So I went to see it, and my fears were confirmed. Visually, pretty nice. Story is garbage.
I will say, apparently, is it true this movie used basically an iPhone?
It used a very, very small digital camera.
Yeah, it was some. This movie is notable for using its like cheap camera or something.
Yeah, it was like a consumer grade.
Yeah, which that's interesting.
Digital camera. Yeah, it did, and it looked nice-ish. So I mean, it just shows you how far technology's come. But also, as long as you shoot things with good lighting and good color grading, it doesn't really matter. You don't need the best camera, the biggest camera. But in saying that, Nolan IMAX is still the best.
Of course.
Shooting on film.
Yeah, of course. Film is always going to be superior.
As long as you just make a good movie, and a good look.
A good movie is still a good movie.
The Creator, I'm a big sci-fi fan. This movie brings nothing new to the table. It thinks it's smart, but it's not. It is just boring for the most part. The action scenes are completely unremarkable. Like I said, the story's garbage, character's garbage. It makes very little sense if you start to think about anything that happens in the movie. If it's on streaming and you literally have nothing, nowhere to go, nothing to do, and you really, really like sci-fi, and
you've seen all the other classics,
and you've seen all the other sci-fi movies, maybe watch it. But I think just like any other robot sort of artificial intelligence sci-fi movie is worth watching instead. Even iRobot, which isn't even that good, like go watch that instead. Watch Ex Machina, watch Blade Runner.
Will Smith needs the support right now.
No, we don't support that guy anymore.
He's in a domestic situation.
We're not talking about.
No, I was making a joke. I was making a joke.
Yeah, so
it's not all his fault.
Yeah, the creator not recommend. Some of it looked kind of cool, but not. Yeah,
nothing to write home about.
Yeah, like I said, Spooktober. I've been watching horror movies when I can. We'll talk mainly about that next week.
Save the good ones for next week.
But I will talk about a not good one now to get out of the way. So earlier in the month, I watched that movie. I think it's technically a Hulu exclusive, but it came to Disney Plus here because of how
the alien one?
Yeah, the No One Will Save You.
Yeah.
So again,
I've heard conflicting things about this film. Guillermo loved it,
but Guillermo's too nice for his own good.
And everyone told Guillermo he was wrong.
Guillermo is too nice for his own good. He's one of my favorite filmmakers, and he seems like the most lovely man in the world. But sometimes he needs to just say it like it is, and say, "Hey," or just don't say anything. If you can't say anything nice, maybe don't say anything. But
just say, "Yeah, I watched it."
Yeah, it's sure.
It's one of the movies of all time.
That's exactly what. So I watch. Okay, No One Will Save You. So this trailer comes out. It's got Caitlin Dever, and she's like in a house, and she, it's like a home invasion but with aliens, and she has to survive. And the trailer, I was like, that looks interesting. I'll put it in my. It was straight to streaming. I put it in my watch list, Disney Plus, to watch later. I'm like, maybe one day, whatever. Then my cousin comes over. She's about 18. And I'm like, look, it's Spooktober. Let's watch a horror movie. But I didn't want to watch something real messed up or real like old school.
We're gonna watch Terrifier.
Yeah, I didn't want to screw her up. So I was like, let's watch something sort of modern and kind of it's just like a modern slasher movie. I was like, maybe we should watch something. The Boogeyman wasn't out yet. It was still a few days left to come out streaming. So I was like, but something like that where it's like modern. It's like a younger person could watch it. And I won't freak her out. Be like, what the hell are you watching? Showing her like a weird 70s.
Oh, there's open up YouTube and watch Begotten.
Yeah, just Texas Chainsaw Massacre on repeat. But yeah, so I'm like, so we're scrolling through the streaming services. I'm like, oh, do you want to watch this? He's like, nah. I'm like, oh, what about this? And I'm like, I couldn't find anything. I'm like, and she knew Caitlin Dever from other movies, and I'm like, okay, we'll watch this one. It looks pretty inoffensive. Yeah, it's a streaming movie. It's a movie, and exactly as soon as I finish, I'm like, it's a movie I haven't seen before. Look, I didn't hate it. It wasn't awful, but again, please, practical effects, use them. The CGI, garbage.
What did your cousin think?
Same thing as me. She was like, a movie I haven't seen before. I've seen worse. Yeah,
it's in color.
That's not necessarily a positive always. But anyway.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I feel like it's, same with Totally Killer. It's just like the filmmakers are doing the best they can. They're not trying to make content. But unfortunately, they're in this system now where it's just, you got to shoot it quickly.
The template is content.
Yeah. They,
low, and I guess a small time frame, low budget, kind of. You have a CG budget and a practical budget.
Yeah, probably. A lot of restrictions from the studio, what you can and can't do. Unlike Totally Killer was just more like entertainment, whereas so is No One Will Save You. But there's definitely, it's trying to say something. There's a bit of a message in there. And I think some of that is interesting. It's just the execution I thought was pretty boring. If you're gonna do movies like this again, they need to be putting more time and effort into the effects and the cinematography, and just a couple more rewrites on these bad boys. Like, I'm no writer. I can't put pen to paper to save my life.
But then again, we're also not getting paid for it.
Yeah, but I mean,
if it was your 9 to 5, and you had a script,
if I was getting paid, if this was my job, but like, I'm no one. I can't.
Yeah,
I can't. But it feels like ever since we started the old show, like 7 years ago, or whatever, almost every episode, it's just like, who wrote this? Who said it was okay? Like,
we were joking. I remember back in the day, we would joke about it being made by committee. Now it's just made by AI.
Well, and now we're at that point where it's just like...
It's even worse.
Oh, this is just churned out by the... Yeah. But yeah, I didn't hate No One Will Save You, but it is definitely if you've literally got nothing else to do and you've seen every other Alien movie ever... And
you have to watch a new Alien movie.
Yeah, and it's just like you kind of want something that's like in theme with Spooktober, but it's not a straight like slasher or gore movie. Then maybe
watch Fire in the Sky instead.
Now, if you want a good Alien movie, you watch Fire in the Sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Alien.
Or Aliens.
Oh, yeah,
Mothman Prophecies.
Yeah, that's on my list coming up soon. I'm excited.
I love that movie.
Haven't seen the Blu-ray since it got released.
I think I've told this told this story on the show before, but when it came out on the imprint label in Australia, I was at JB before they opened. Me and Callum were there before they opened.
I think I told you. I said it's coming out. You guys got to get it because it's never come out before.
And I'm like, do you have the Mothman Prophecies on Blu-ray? It comes out today. And they're like, no, it's not out yet. I'm like, yes, it is. I was like, I don't mind going to other JBs right now.
Excuse me,
like, can you please
call Richard Gere?
Yeah. I'm like, can you please just check for me? Like, please just check if it's come in.
Yeah.
And then the lady was kind of pissed, but she checked and they had it. And I was like,
good. At least they had it, and you didn't have to wait extra.
Don't make me get Mr. Cold on the phone.
Andrew Cold.
But yeah, no, that's coming up. I'm excited.
Oh man,
I haven't seen it on Blu-ray.
That movie's so good.
I might have to rewatch that tonight.
All right. So next week is October. The next Tuesday when we're doing the live radio show.
We'll be live on Halloween. Listen live 31st. On the one day.
So listen on October 31st at 6 p.m.
Australian Eastern Standard Time. Are we daylight savings time now?
I guess we're
DS.
Yeah. 98.9 Northwest FM, or is it northwestfm.org?
I don't know. We're also on TuneIn Radio.
And TuneIn Radio. Basically, if you want to listen live, you can call in.
We'll put up some of the links on the socials.
I don't think we can take calls at the moment.
But you can message us.
Message us either on the social media, or what's our number here at the studio? Where is it? 04447777 So next week,
or just call. Just do a Facebook Messenger call with the Tuesday review.
Can you do that if you're?
I think
our
phones will go off.
Anyway, so if you do want to listen live, we'll be talking about all things horror movies, also our Spooktober special, like all horror movies, the whole episode.
For ease of use, we'll post the TuneIn link on the socials.
Yeah. So obviously, mostly our podcast is where people listen, and which is my preferred kind of thing to people to listen. So if you're listening to this episode, in preparation for next episode, you can send us questions or comments or whatever about Halloween or horror movies or whatever. So then we can talk about those next week.
Or let's do it raw. Let's do it live. Do it dangerously live on the radio. Hit us up during the show.
Oh yeah. Just be careful.
James is being nerdy.
Don't be too naughty. I know it's Halloween, but but so
if it's too naughty, we just won't read it out.
But so next week we'll talk about all the horror movies and TV shows and spooky Halloween stuff that can fit into the show. And obviously the live portion, the live show will be on the Tuesday, the 31st, which is Halloween. But then the podcast will go up on like November 1st or whatever. So, but that'll be our Halloween.
We'll post
special.
the day before the show, we'll post all the listing details and stuff like that.
Keep an eye on our social media because there'll be that. So we'll keep you informed about that. And also there'll be more kind of PAX stuff, video game developers that we're interviewing, other cool people we're talking to. I promise it's going to come out. We just don't know exactly when.
Well, there's always progress being made behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So we're never not doing anything. The show's a lot of work at the moment. Actually, there's a lot. People don't know. We used to just kind of cruise along and like we do a little bit of work.
Cruising. We're like, wow, this is tough work doing one show a week. Yeah. And now we're trying to do more.
Well, because it's like I used to be like, do we do the show or whatever we need to do Tuesday? Do the show, and then Wednesday I'd edit the episode, get it out, post it to the socials. But now it's like we're planning to have something on the socials at least 5 times a week, or however it works out.
And then we're trying to get the YouTube,
and then we're trying to get the YouTube going, and also kind of organizing these interviews.
And there's other stuff. Yeah,
and there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes.
So we promise there is more.
It's
coming.
Exhausting, but it's exciting. So please, join in the excitement with us. Hit us up on the socials. Tell us what your favorite horror movie is. We'll post more details about that closer to the next show. Please like and share the Facebook page, the Twitter, Instagram, and the Threads.
Review us on Apple Podcasts or whatever you do. Spotify.
Yeah, give us a good rating.
5 stars, no less. Even if you hate the show, just pretend. Fake it. We're going to fake it until we make it. So you guys fake it until we make it. So give us 5 stars and then that'll make us feel bad and then try to live up to the 5 stars.
Hey, we've been trying real hard lately.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week. Adios, cousins.